I don't know how today's going to go because took a long time for the video to kick in, and it's very overcast, and I'm noticing that out here in the country, when it's overcast, it sometimes is not the best reception. So we're going to hope for the best, and I welcome you to day 78. I cannot tell you how the time is flying. Now, I know we all have the same 24 hours every day. And I would have thought that by now I probably would have been, more frustrated than I am with the being closed in thing. I think the most frustrating thing I have is my hair. That makes me kind of crazy. And but other than that, I'm pretty mellow. Getting groceries is frustrating, but so we're talking about how I spent my Corona confinement, and hopefully it will positively impact how you are spending yours, and that something that I have to say might give you a little boost, ideas on how to handle things. And you've certainly watched me ride the emotional roller coaster of life as we've gone through this. It's not always easy, but I think it's important to keep moving forward. Like Anthony Cuomo said, he said it, he quoted Churchill. If you feel like you're going through hell, just keep going. So through the difficult parts, we keep going. And one of the things that is called is coping. Not everybody copes well, and I'm hoping that something I might say might help you to cope well. Let's get to our National Day first. Today is National Running Day. Not for me. I always say I will start running when I see a runner with a smile on their face. Take note the next time you go by some runners. Now, I once ran very briefly, and much to my surprise, I came in second in a walk-run thing. I came second in my age category. It was very exciting to wear the little thing, your number, and I see I'm freezing up. I hope it's not going to be awful today. But yeah, you have the number, and it's got a chip in it, so they're tracking you how long it takes you to get through the course. It was very exciting. And the fact, when I ever saw I came in second, I almost dropped my teeth. But it wasn't because I'm a good runner. It's because at the time I was going to the gym once or twice a day and doing jazzercise. So I had a lot, I was in shape. I was ready for it, even though I didn't plan to do it. I will say, I crossed the running, the finish line, and when I saw they had cameras, I did everything I could to smile as I went across that line. It wasn't a good picture. And then I headed right straight for the trash can because I seriously thought I was going to vomit. But I didn't. That was quite a day. So running day, no. Egg day, I don't eat them plain, but I make a lot of stuff with them, and I'm almost out. So I might do something. And it's chocolate macaroon day. Now you got me. I may try to find a way to pull that off. And for many people, especially like myself, cooking does help us cope. The topic of today is, it is the art of coping, which is a labor of love. We cope in order to get through. Some people can't cope, and they'll not make it through this whole thing without cracking up. So I want to give you ideas. Oh, and a little heads up when we're talking about days and what's going on and everything. Friday, there is going to be a full moon. Now, I don't know what you know about things like the phases of the moon, astrology, and like that, but I used to teach astrology. And I don't care what, the full moon does impact people. Even if you look at the fact that we're like 90-something% water, and that the moon, um, the tides are affected by the moon. So why wouldn't then the moon, the water that's in our body would affect our brain, because there is our little brains floating around in there in fluid. So let's just think on that and make a note, and look out Friday to see if anything different happens, because we've got that full moon. So coping, the word coping, it means, amongst other things, to struggle or deal. So, sometimes we think, oh, I can cope, or I'm coping. And if you say I'm coping and it's easy, it's not really coping. It's really coping when it's a bit of a struggle and you succeed at it. The reason I use the art of coping, because an art is some people are naturally gifted, but other people, you have to develop the skills. And I think sometimes the skills that we develop are way more important to us than the skills that come and go. Sometimes we have natural talents. My little sister, she's no longer with us, she passed away, but she was, amongst other things, an amazing cook. And it kind of annoyed me. I went to school for 4 years, to cooking school, and learned a lot of things, but I'll be dipped if that girl did not just be able to make the most amazing things. And she was also an amazing actress, and she hated it. She hated being an actress. She was in a play, and it was Damn Yankees, and she played Lola. And my mother, who was like always on the stage doing some kind of community project or something, and so my mother was pushing her, and she was about 15, 16 at the time. So of course, as her family, we had to go to the play, and I went in like ready to grin and bear it. And she was so amazing. All the kids, it was a high school play, all the kids were really good. But my sister, she just shocked me. And you know what she said after? I hated that. I hated that. If Mom practically had to shove me out on that stage, if I didn't get forced, I wouldn't have done it. Can you imagine that, having that incredible talent? And I kept saying, Melissa, please, go ahead, go move forward with acting. You're so good at it. But she didn't. And but she had a natural gift. Others of us develop our skills and our arts. And so the art of coping is a developed skill. And one of the ways that we develop the skill is through the knowledge of metaphysics. Sometimes the skill is we don't have the desire, like Melissa with the with the acting. Not her thing. Don't force yourself to learn something or become skilled at something you don't want to. But right now, it's really important that we develop the art and skill of coping, because we don't know how long we're going to do this. And we do know that once this is over, once we're back out in the world, there is going to be a whole new bunch of skills that we're going to want to develop in coping with the changes and creating a new world. So if something is so distasteful to you that you really don't want to do it, then don't, as long as it's not your coping skills. You want to develop those. But a lot of times we have to do something difficult to earn the reward that comes from it. We develop our skills for our own good. How many times did your mother say to you, it's for your own good? My mother did that a lot with me about cleaning my room. Not one of my chosen things. And it was hard on my sister because she was like a little Miss Clean and stuff, and everything was in order on her dresser, and I'm like, oh, Mom's coming up to check the room. Everything went under the bed. Under the bed or in the closet. Then I got a bed. When I was married, I got a water bed, and you don't put anything under there. That was a solid base. So I had to learn not to put anything under the bed. But we are doing this. We are developing coping skills for our own good. So I encourage you, if the going gets tough, don't quit. Keep going. It is for your own good. And it is an act of self-love and self-discipline. There are many things we can do to help ourselves cope. One of those things is routines and rituals. We all have them. We get up at a certain time. We have breakfast or supper at a certain time. You know me, my little afternoon routine. That is when I have my little glass of wine and my little cheese and crackers. And that's a part of my coping skill. It's not about the wine. It's about the relaxation, the afternoon, my little peace and quiet. Those things are the things that help us cope. Okay, this is part 2. Somehow my video quit on me, so I am picking it up where I was. Okay, so let's see, where was I? I was about things being for your own good and self-love. And we need the self-discipline as well, because if we have self-love without self-discipline, that can become very narcissistic and very unhealthy. Too much self-love that without self-discipline, and we're in trouble. So again, going back to the routines and rituals, we eat at a certain time. We have little routines. We clean at a certain time, and it is these routines and rituals and schedules that help us to get through the day. Sometimes busy work is one of the best coping mechanisms in the world. I remember when times were really tough and I was divorced and I was very lonely, and it would be I did have kids, but I was living under this thing that if I wasn't in a relationship, nothing in the world was right. But I would wash the walls. So I would be really miserable and I would be washing the walls. So I would say, when it was done, at least something positive would come out of it. Prayer is another ritual. I have my morning prayer time, and I do that prayer time every day. Sometimes I mix it up. Ooh. It's just kind of keeping the ritual of my morning prayer interesting. Sometimes I'll do my gratitude and journaling first, and sometimes I'll do my scriptures and stuff like that. So, but it is that daily ritual of prayer that became a very positive habit in my life. That helps me cope. What better time to do it in the morning when you wake up before you get out of bed and, face what the world has to offer for you. Another ritual that I will use if I am particularly stressed is my prayer beads. These are prayer beads that I make, and they are specially designed. I designed them so that they contain the elements of the prayer beads for the different religions of the world, for the major religions. So I'm not going to go into that here, but if you're ever interested in knowing more about prayer beads, you can contact me. These they're not a rosary, although they can be looking like a rosary. But what I do with them is, first of all, you hold them in the hand. These have much prayer invested in them because I have prayed with them a lot. I've prayed with them on challenging times, good times, boring times. I wear them. I will wrap them like this around my wrist, and I will wear them. And I like it when I wear them because people sometimes will say to me, "Oh, what's that?" And I go, "Oh, that's my prayer beads." And then I have a chance to tell them about the beads and how you use them. one of the things you use them, whether it's a rosary, a Baha'i, Islam, whatever you are using them for, if you simply, if nothing else, if on each bead you can just say, thank you, God, for my life. Thank you, God, that I have food in the refrigerator. Thank you, God, that I can breathe. Thank you, God, that I can move about. Thank you, God, for being here. Thank you, God, for keeping. And as I say each one, I'm just going. This is a rote activity. And it is very often rote activity that gets us out of a very negative spot that we're in. There's that old commercial for dish detergent, and it would say they'd be scrubbing and scrubbing, dried on egg yolk, just won't budge, dry. So what it was saying is that stuff was so stuck. Sometimes we get our heads so stuck that we can't get out of where we are. So rote prayer is a great way to do that. You can say an actual prayer on every bead if you want. You can use it for affirmations. In the Islamic faith, they have 99 bead strings, and they have 99 names for God. That is like 99 facets of a jewel, and each facet is another aspect of the divine. I think that's pretty exciting, and it's a great way to remind us that God is our provider, God is our protector, God is our source of divine ideas. So I encourage you to either drag out your rosary beads, use them as traditionally used, or use them to make affirmations. Sometimes we just hold on to them because it is like a physical evidence of God's presence, if I explain that well. Another thing about coping is the combination of faith plus works. We can all have faith. I can say this is going to come out in the end. I know it is. God's going to do it, blah, blah. But we really need works to back up our faith. Part of those works are living what we believe. If we really believe we're going to be okay, even at a core level and outside it doesn't feel like it, if we live it and don't let the negative words come out of our mouth about how awful it is, how terrible it is, does that ever happen? Yes, it happens for all of us. But you work at not letting the negative come out of your mouth. That's how I feel about how I learned about not cussing as freely as I once did. When we say that we expect God to fix it, that we have faith that God's going to make it okay, this isn't God's job. Our transformation is not God's job. It is our job. We have the principles, the teaching, and the faith for sure. We connect with God, with spirit. We move ourselves from the lower consciousness up to the higher consciousness to open ourselves to, I always say, I am open and receptive to the divine spirit of truth. I am open and receptive to new ideas and new ways of being that you can't see down here, in the muck and mire. Also, we have to know that nobody can do it for us. It's not going to be okay if we had a mate. It's not going to be okay if we had $1 million. It's not going to be okay. Nothing and nobody completes us. We are already complete. And not only are we already complete, we are an inseparable part of the greater whole, which is the family of man, the connection that all human beings have. They're not aware of it yet. Not everybody is, but some of us are, and that's why it's important that we live it. We're not afraid to say it. We're not afraid to mention it, to teach it, to suggest it to someone else. That's another part of the prayer beads. This little bead here is called the connector bead. And what it does is it reminds us we are all connected. And it's inseparable. We're an inseparable part another part of the, this is one of my first sets of prayer beads, so it's not as fancy as my other ones, but it also has a little bead here that's different from the other ones. And that means that even though I may be different from the rest, that I am still, I'm not weird, I'm unique. I am a part of the whole. When we take time to elevate ourselves out of our fears and doubts and all the human stuff, we can tap into the creative mind. Yesterday I finished the campground newsletter, and I always have my my sister and her husband, who are my bosses, I have them look at it and put the stamp of approval on it. And they did, and when it was done, my brother-in-law said, yeah, that's good. He said, that's real good, as usual. And when he said, as usual, that was a big thrill for me, because he doesn't say that. He doesn't say much. So that really impressed me. But I realized that doing the newsletter is a labor of love. I love what I'm doing. I'm excited when I'm doing it. It takes me a long time because I'm really into it. I find just the right pictures and just the right GIFs, and I work for the right words, and I get that every part of it, but it is a labor of love. I gotta tell you, if we make coping a labor of love, we're gonna be so satisfied as we go forth. We're going to be satisfied. We're going to be strengthened. So you can tap into the creative channel. And you know, I'm going to do one tomorrow. My thing tomorrow is going to be on Have You Received Your Call? And it's going to be about finding that unique piece that you are. And I really remember, loving yourself is not spoiling yourself. One other thing with my creative visualization, as I get into, you know, it's very hard to explain to people, but, and I think I've said this before, we're like in a pot of soup, okay? If you see all the vegetables in a pot of soup, we're like little carrots and potatoes and onions and stuff floating around in there. And what happens is that the little vegetables are permeated. Not only are they permeated by the stock, but they add their essence to the stock. If we're around negativity, we do not want that to permeate us. I say we are swimming in consciousness soup. So if we try to avoid being permeated by negativity, and we do that by lifting up. When I feel I am starting to be overcome, even in my prayer time, you know, like a worry will pop in, or a bit of anger, or I'll see something, or, you know, and what I do, and this is really weird, but it works for me. And I think if you try it, you may find it works for you. This is a visual thing that I do when thoughts that I don't want, that are negative, come into my head. I physically do this. I'll be in prayer time, and all of a sudden I'll go like this, and I'll like collect all the negative thoughts, and I toss them over there. Over there is what I call the purification pool, that my negative thoughts and feelings will be purified. And that way they get out of my head. It works. Try it. As a matter of fact, if you try it, you may have to try it a while, because skills take time to develop. If you try it and you like it, I'd like to know. So, okay, I did go off for a bit today, and then we had our little shutdown in the middle. Don't know how this is going to come out. I hope I don't have to do it over. But in the meantime, I will probably try to get the patched up version on YouTube later today, which is going to be difficult because my computer seems to be going berserk. I'm trying to figure it out. So anyway, I want you to have a blessed day. I invite you to make it a good day, because you have the power to do that. And know that I love you, I bless you, I appreciate you, and I behold the divinity in you. Have a great day. God bless.